Let's say you have the factors x plus 3, and we want to raise that to the second power. We know that that is simply going to be x plus 3 times x plus 3, which is going to be x squared plus 6x plus 9. But let's just say, for sake of argument, that we wanted to have x plus 3 to the 7th power. Now the question is, would you want to multiply x plus 3, x plus 3, x plus 3, x plus 3, and all the way down to 7 of those factors, and FOIL until your heart is content? That would take a long time. And so there's got to be an easier way to do that, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. It's called the binomial theorem, binomial expansion, and we're going to learn how to expand binomials up to powers that are bigger than powers of 2 or 3, ones we can do simply by hand. We're going to do several examples here, and the first one is we want to expand x plus y to the 6th power. And so what we're going to do is we're going to follow this little formula here, and what we want to do is we want to put boxes, and in these boxes we are going to put certain coefficients, and we're going to get these coefficients by using the NCR, or the combination idea. Now n is the degree that you are raising this binomial to, so we're raising it to the 6th power, so that's going to be your n. And the first coefficient you will get by doing 6c0. So 6c0. Now you will find that that is just going to be 1. All right, and then a to the n, b to the 0. Well, a is the first term in the parentheses, and b is the second term in the parentheses. And so let's just go ahead and do that. So it's going to be x to the 6th and y to the 0. All right, now we're moving on to the next term. We're going to put a box, and in this box we're going to put 6c1. And if you use your calculator, we're not going to do it, but if you use your calculator, you will get that to be 6. And now what happens here, there's a lot of patterns that you want to pay attention to. The exponent on the x goes down one level, and the exponent on the y goes up one level. So this is going to be x to the 5th, y to the 1st. All right, and so now we end up getting the next coefficient, which is going to be 6c2, and that's going to end up being 15. So that's going to be 15, and once again the x goes down and the y goes up 1. And notice that these two exponents are going to add up to the degree that you're raising the binomial to. 6 plus 0 is 6, 5 plus 1 is 6, 4 plus 2 is 6, and they get a little bit more room here. Let's erase that. All right, and let's keep going. So 1, 6, 15, and then the next one is going to be 6 NCR 3. So that's going to end up giving you 20. So it's going to be 20, x to the, we got to take the x down and raise the y up. And then something really cool happens. Once you get up to this certain number, they actually start to go back down. So the next one is simply going to be in the box. It's going to be 15, which is the same as this, and then it's going to be x squared y to the 4th, and then another box. You'll see why we're doing the boxes in the next example, and that's going to be 6 x to the 1st and y to the 5th, and then the last one is going to be 1 x to the 0 y to the 6th. All right, so I want you to notice a few patterns here. First of all, the first box and the last box will always be 1. The second box and the second to last box will always be whatever degree you're raising the binomial to. And the other boxes you will have to use your calculator for. However, after you do a few examples, you will memorize this. 1, 6, 15, 20, 15, 6, 1. So the next time you have a problem that you're going to raise to the 6th power, you will remember what goes in these boxes. Now step 2, we're going to get rid of the boxes. All right, so we're going to get rid of the box, and we're going to say, okay, y to the 0 is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1 times this 1. So our final answer is going to look something like this. X to the 6th, and then plus 6x to the 5th, y to the 1st. And you don't need the first there. And then it's going to be 15x to the 4th, y squared, and then 20x cubed, y cubed, and then 15x squared, y to the 4th, and then 6x to the 1st, y to the 5th, and then once again, x to the 0 is just 1 times the 1 in the box, and so then you get y to the 6th. And this is the answer that you are going to get if you were to take a really long time and multiply x plus 6 times itself 6 times. Okay, now we have this next example, 2x minus y to the 5th. Notice there are two things different about this. First, the first term in the parentheses has a 2 in front of it, and there's a minus. So the shortcut here with the minus is that essentially when you have a minus inside of the parentheses, that's just going to make the terms alternate. All right, so once again, let's go ahead and set this up. So we're going to have a box, and in this box, we're going to put several things in each box. And so we're going to take the first term in the parentheses, which is 2x. Please make sure to put it in parentheses. We're going to raise it to the 5th power. And then we're going to take the second piece that's in the second term that's in the parentheses and raise it to the 0. And then we're going to put another box. And then we're going to have, this is going to be alternating. So that means to be a minus there, because the first is going to be plus, then minus, another box. And then we're going to have 2x to the 4th. Make sure you put the 2x in parentheses. You'll see why in a moment. And then y to the 1st. Notice my exponents are adding up to 5. And then I'm going to alternate. I'm going to make this plus, and then another box. And you will see why we're doing the boxes in just a second, so just hold off. 2x to the 3rd, and then y squared. And then we need to alternate terms. So it's going to be a minus, and then 2x squared, y cubed, and then plus another box. And that's going to be 2x to the 1st, y to the 4th, and then we're going to alternate and make it negative with another box, and then that's going to be 2x to the 0, y to the 5th. All right, let's see what goes in the boxes. I said last time that the first box and the last box will always be 1. The second box and the second to last box will always be whatever degree you're raising the binomial to. And then here, what we're going to do is we're going to do NCR. And what level are we raising the binomial to? 5, comma, either of these exponents will work because it's a pyramid. It's going to be the same for 3 as it is for 2. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And if you type that in your calculator, you're going to get 10 and 10 again. All right, now let's see what happens here. We're going to get rid of the boxes. So here's what you have to be careful to do, and I'm going to do this in gold. You need to take whatever number is inside the parentheses and raise it up to that exponent. So 2 to the 5th is 32 times what's in the box times 1. That's going to be 32. All right, so that's going to be 32x to the 5th, y to the 0 is 1. Okay, so now we have 2 to the 4th. That's 16 times the box times 5. That's going to be 80. X to the 4th, because you have to raise the x to the 4th, and y to the 1st. Now we have 2 to the 3rd. That's 2 times 2 times 2. That's 8 times 10. That's 80 again. So 80 x cubed y squared. All right, and now we have 2 squared. That's 4 times 10. That is 40. X squared y cubed. And then we have 2 to the 1st, which is 2 times 5. And that is simply 10. X to the 1st, y to the 4th. And then now we have 2 to the 0. That's just 1. So anything in parentheses 0 is just 1 times 1. So you get minus y to the 5th. And this is what you would get if you multiplied 2x minus y to the 5th power. All right, this is the third time we've seen this, so we should be really good at it now. So we're going to take 4x minus 2y to the 4th power. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some boxes, and we're going to take the first term in the parentheses, 4x, we're going to raise it to the 4th, and then we're going to take the 2y and raise that to the 0 power. Then we recognize that there's a minus here, so that's going to make the terms alternate. You have to remember that. And then you're going to take the 4x to the 3rd, and then the 2y to the 1st. And then we're going to alternate the signs and make it plus. Put another box, and then we're going to take 4x squared, and then 2y squared. So notice the powers of x are going down 1 with the powers of y going up 1. And then we're going to make the terms alternate again. And so then we have 4x to the 1st, and then 2y to the 3rd. And then the last term is going to be there. And we're going to have 4x to the 0 and 2y to the 4th. Okay, so once again, what goes in the first box? 1 all the time. What goes in the last box? 1 all the time. What goes in the second box? Whatever degree that you are raising it to, that's 4. So therefore 4 goes in the box, 4 goes in this box. And then the question is, how do we get that coefficient? Well, once again, we're going to do on our calculator NCR. And what level is the binomial raised to? Well, it's 4, comma, either of these exponents will give it to you, and you will end up getting 6. Now, the next time that you do a binomial to the 4th power, you will remember 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. So say that with me. 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. All right, let's go ahead and expand this thing out. 4 to the 4th is 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. That is 256. Now, 2 to the 0, anything to 0 is 1. So here's where you got to be really careful. It's 256 times 1 times what's in the box. So that's going to be 256 x to the 4th. Y to the 0 is 1, so that's gone. Now you got to be careful. So now we have 4 to the 3rd, and that is going to be 64 times 4 is going to be 256 times 2 to the 1st. All those coefficients have to be smushed together, and so 256 times 2 is 512. So you're going to have minus 512 x to the 3rd, y to the 1st. And now let's go ahead and do this one. Let's see what we get. We have 4 squared. Okay, that's 16. So maybe we'll do this over here. 4 squared, we'll do it in gold. 4 squared is 16 times 2 squared, that's 4, times what's in my box, which is 6. So you have a calculator, but 16 times 4 is 64 times 6, and I believe that's 384, but let's check that. That's 24, 636, so 384. All right, so that's going to end up giving you 384 x squared y squared. And then we'll do the next one. 4 to the 1st is 4 times 4 is 16. 2 to the 3rd is 8. So we need to multiply 16 times 8. Let's make sure we did that right. 2 to the 3rd is 8 times 4 times 4. So that's going to be, let's see, 8 times 6 is, looks like that's going to be 128. All right, so you end up with minus 128 x to the 1st and y to the 3rd. And then the last one, 4x to the 0, well, that's just 1. 2 to the 4th is 16, however, times the box. So that's going to be 16y to the 4th. And that is the expansion for this problem. Okay, in this next example, it says to find the fifth term in the expansion of p plus q to the 10th. Now, the last thing you want to do here is actually find the entire expansion p plus q to the 10th power. That's ridiculous. It says find the fifth term, so that means you have to count down. Now, it's easy to think, oh, fifth term, that means it's going to be p to the fifth, q to the fifth. Got to be careful. Let's see. First term is going to be some sort of p to the 10th, q to the 0. The next term is going to be some sort of p to the 9th and q to the 1st. So that's first term, that's second term. Third term is going to be p8, q2. Fourth term is going to be p7, q3. Fifth term is going to be p6, q4 with a box in front of it. All of these should have boxes in front of it, but once again, we are only interested in the fifth term, which, because you're counting up from 0, you only get to 4 and 6 and 4. Now, how are we going to get what goes in the box? We've said it before. It's going to be NCR, whatever power that the binomial is raised to, that's 10, comma, either of the exponents will do. 6. And when you do that on your calculator, you will get, let's put that in gold, you will get 210 as the coefficient. So therefore, the fifth term is simply going to be 210 p to the 6th, q to the 4th. And it's a pretty simple problem. All right, in this example 5, it says find the coefficients for the x to the 5th, y to the 8th term. And so this should be pretty simple. We know that whatever that term is, it's going to have a box in front of it, and then it's going to have an x to the 5th and a y to the 8th. Now, you have to be careful here because some problems we may give you, it may have a 2x and a 3y, or maybe it's a minus sign. So you have to remember that that would go in its own separate set of parentheses, and you would have to raise whatever that number is to this power, and then if there's a number in front of the y, you'd need to raise it to that power, and then multiply it times whatever is in the box. But in this case, we don't have to do that because there's just a 1 in front of both the x and y. So we just need to find what's in this box, and once again, that's going to be your NCR, 13, comma, either 5 or 8, it doesn't matter. So we'll do 5. And when you type that in your calculator, you will get 1287. So your final answer is going to be 1287, x to the 5th, y to the 8th. Pretty simple problem. See if you can finish example 6 and example 7 on the notes, and we will finish those in class, but I think you have enough that you are able to do these problems on your own now.